Hi, this is David McCullough with archeryhuntingtech.com. In this video we're going to talk about the third axis on your sights. A lot of you don't know what that is. It is kind of confusing. So first of all, we're going to explain what that is. Your first axis is the vertical plane of your sight going up and down. The second axis is the position of your sight twisting side to side. In other words, when your string and your bow is level and you have to adjust your sight until your bubble is level, that's your second axis. The third axis is the sight plane that moves like this. If you can see that, moves in and out. And why is that important? Most people don't even know what that is. It's very, very important, especially if you're hunting in hilly country. If you're shooting on flat ground, it's not going to make a big difference what kind of position your third axis is in. If your third axis is out here and you're shooting on level ground, your bubble's still going to read level, so your shot will be good. If you're shooting downhill, however, and your sight is, your third axis is out like this, for example, and you're shooting downhill, what's that bubble going to do? It's going to travel up, it's going to lie to you, you're going to want to adjust your bow to level it, so now you're canted to the right in reality and your bubble's lying to you. So what's that going to do to your shot? You could hit as much as a foot off at 35 yards, depending on how far out your axis is. So we really need to get that third axis, and of course the opposite would be true if you're shooting uphill. Your bubble's going to lie to you and it's going to travel uphill like that. You're going to want to cant left and you're going to miss your shot to the left. And this is important in target shooting as well as hunting. More important in hunting, obviously. We want to make a clean kill on the animal. So what we're going to do today is show you how to adjust this third axis very simply. It all makes sense to you. I've got a tool that I built, and you can actually order that from me. I'll make you one, or you can make your own. Pretty easy to use, so we'll start with that. Welcome to my shop. Apologize for the mess, but we do work here. To do our third axis adjustment, we're going to need a few tools. We're going to need an Allen wrench. On the Spot Hogg site here, I've got adjustment for the third axis, and obviously it takes Allen wrenches to do that. If you do not have an adjustment on your sight, one, I recommend you get a sight that does, but if you don't feel like spending the money for that right now, you can place shims back here to move that in or out this way. Okay? We need a wrench to take our stabilizer off and put on this tool that I made. I just made it out of a piece of 1/4 inch steel with a welded nut and 5/16 fine thread with a locking nut on it, and that'll go right on the stabilizer. You'll see how we use that with the bench vise. And then a small torpedo level, or I recommend getting a string level, is actually a little bit more accurate because you've got your serving on here. And when I go to get it level, that's going to give me a slightly false reading, but for the purposes of this video, it'll help you understand what we're trying to do here. And we usually have to make a final adjustment after we get it pretty well set, where it's perfect to the world, but of course everybody draws the bow and has a different grip. Everything's different. So in a perfect world, that third axis should stay aligned, but this is not a perfect world, and we're going to actually draw the bow after we get done doing the rough in, and I use a release, so I'm going to draw it with a release. If you use fingers, use fingers, and we'll double check it and do our final adjustment after that at that time. Okay, here we go. Okay, we've got our adjustment tool on here. We're going to stick it in the vise. And we're going to snug up the nut so we can hold it steady in place. Okay, so we're going to get our string perfectly vertical from side to side first. And we need a level that is small enough to fit in here, or get a string level that clips on above and below your serving. That's actually a better way to do it. I'm actually on the serving here a little bit, but just for this video, this is going to be pretty accurate here. I'm not touching the D-loop or anything, so we're perfectly vertical right there. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this lock nut, hopefully without moving it. And we'll double check. Okay, we're good there. Okay, we've got everything vertical here now, and all we need to do is pivot the bow 45 degrees so it's aiming downhill, 45 degrees so it's aiming uphill, and check our bubble here. And it should, if the third axis is adjusted correctly, it should remain in the center between the lines. So we'll do that now. I'll just loosen the vise up just a little bit, tilt it forward, and it says that I need to cant to the right, so my third axis is out a little bit. And then to double check that, we can go the other way, and it should lie to me the other way. And sure enough, the bubble is now on the left side. So I've got to move my third axis in towards me as I am standing shooting the bow, towards me this way to make that adjustment. On this Spot Hogg sight here, I happen to have adjustments to be able to do that, so we'll do that now. Okay, with the bow tilted up, I'm going to go ahead and make these adjustments on my Spot Hogg sight here. This shakes around a little bit, so just kind of let it settle down. We're pretty close. One more little tweak, and that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to check that by tilting the bow the other direction. And we're right in the middle. And that's all there is to it. Now, there's one step left, because everybody's grip is different and you might have a little torque in your bow. We're going to get a piece of cardboard, use our level, and we're going to draw a straight line. I'm actually going to get a longer level. We're going to draw a straight vertical line on that piece of cardboard and draw the bow and check. I've got a wire on the Spot Hogg here that's set vertical to the level, but you can use your pins as well if you do not have that wire. And we're going to put those pins or that wire directly on that vertical line with the bow drawn and check the level to make sure there's not a final little bit of tweaking to do. Okay, be right back. Okay, all I'm going to do is take my level, make sure it's straight up and down. Take a Sharpie and mark a straight line on there. Now I'm going to draw the bow and double check it. Okay, I shoot a release, so I'm going to draw the bow with a release. If you shoot fingers, use your fingers. Do everything exactly as you would do when you shoot the bow. Anchor in, bend at the waist, and put those pins right on the vertical line, and double check my bubble. Now I'm right on. That's all there is to it. If you're off a little bit, then you need to make a final adjustment so that bubble is centered when you are straight up and down. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Archery Hunting Tech.